Welcome to Veterans Perspective. This is Jeff, your host, author, podcaster, general idiot. Today's topic, we're going back to the VA for a minute. Yay, right? Right? Don't worry, we'll get back to parenting and education. All that stuff is coming. But we are going to focus on veterans issues coming up because they are so important, especially going into the summer months. Where a lot of veterans kind of get left out in the lurch, especially our homeless veterans. So just keep that in mind, okay? So definitely that is a big deal this time of year. So just keep that in mind, okay? That's all I'm going to ask and say. Just keep that in mind. Our sponsor is us, myself, and Carrie. We have our Etsy store, so please check that out. The link will be down in the description wherever you're listening to this, whether it's Substack, YouTube, Spotify, wherever, it doesn't matter. I will have the link down in the description. It's jkprintsgifts.etsy.com. We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, if you're one of those weirdos that wear sweatshirts in the summer. And we have mugs. I have templates for teachers and students that myself and Carrie have created. Me, a former educator, her, a current educator. And yeah, we have all kinds of stuff. We focus on positive mental health, some sarcastic stuff in there that seems to sell pretty well. We've been on Etsy for about a year and a half, and I'm not saying we're like gurus or anything like that, but we've got a few sales here and there, and that's pretty cool. But we do it because we believe in it. We create the designs. We use a print-on-demand company to print and ship because we can't hold all that inventory. But that's just me being transparent with you guys. And I want you guys to check that out and perhaps get you something. And Mother's Day is coming up. Just saying. Maybe mom wants something. So, all right, let's get started. Our topic today, 2026, the VASRD. Oh, no, an acronym. What does VASRD stand for, Jeff? So, the VA, Veteran Affairs, Schedule for Rating Disabilities. VASRD, Schedule for Rating Disabilities. Ambush, how the VA is moving the goalposts, because that is exactly what they're doing. They call it modernization. We call it a budget cut, because that's what's actually happening. They're cutting the budget of veterans. Okay, if you have sleep apnea, tinnitus, or a mental health claim in the pipeline, your window to lock in your rating is slamming shut. Now, I'm not here to tell you how to file claims. I'm not one of those people. I am telling you that you want to lock in your claim now under the current guidelines, because they are moving the goalposts, and we're going to talk about those goalposts, okay? The Department of Veterans Affairs operates on a predictable cycle, okay? All of this is coming from our blog post that came out today, the 28th of April, 2026, okay? When the budget gets tight and the number of high value, quote unquote, because to me all veteran claims are high value, but quote unquote high value claims starts to climb, they do not just stop paying, because that would make them look bad if they just stop paying, right? They change the rules of the game so they don't have to pay as much, okay? Right now in 2026, we're witnessing the biggest overhaul to the VASRD, the VA Schedule for Rating Disability, in an entire generation. They have never made changes this quickly, this widespread. The VA leadership is using clinical modernization as a smokescreen to execute a massive cost-saving operation. Okay, this is not about modern medicine, modern healthcare. This is about saving money, and it's using veterans to do it. They are specifically targeting the most common and highest rated conditions that veterans claim today. If you're a veteran sitting on an intent to file, if you have not filed, okay, or if you have been waiting for the right time to go after an increase, okay, an increase to your rating, You need to wake up. The battlefield is definitely shifting, okay, with all of the hearings in Congress, and I know that they're preoccupied with other idiocies, okay? The new rules are designed to keep money in the government's pocket and out of yours. There are targeted strikes on certain disabilities, one of them being tinnitus. We've talked about this a little bit before, but for decades, tinnitus has been the most commonly claimed disability in the entire system. There's a reason for that. Okay? It is a 10% rating that almost every combat veteran possesses. Almost. I don't have tinnitus, but I know several of my buddies that do. If you spent 5 minutes near a flight line, an artillery battery, or a live fire range, your ears ring. My ears ring, but they won't give me tinnitus. They literally tell me no every time. Okay. The VA has traditionally granted a flat 10% rating for this, acknowledging that the ringing is a permanent, intrusive neurological injury because science. The new 2026 guidelines are designed to effectively eliminate tinnitus as a standalone compensable disability. So it would remove tinnitus as its own category of disability. Under the new rules, the VA will only compensate tinnitus if it is directly tied to a compensable level of hearing loss. So the ringing in your ear doesn't mean shit if you can still hear. Well, yeah, I could still hear, but my hearing is impacted by the ringing. You see what they're doing? So here's the trap. Most veterans have service-connected hearing loss that is rated at 0% because we could still pass a sterile beep test, right, where they sit us in that box and they give us the button, right, or the two buttons, and they do the beeps in our ear, right, and we basically sit there and guess where we're hearing the beep at. If your hearing loss is 0%, your tinnitus will be rated at 0% because they would be linked. If you don't have hearing loss, then you don't have tinnitus, according to the VA. That is scientifically wrong. That is medically wrong. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, okay? My master's degree is in political science, right? A soft science, as they say. But that's wrong. Tinnitus is a standalone thing and has been a standalone thing for a long time because it is separate from hearing loss. It is a hearing condition, right? So they want to tie this in with hearing loss so they don't have to give veterans that 10%. That's exactly what they're doing. They're erasing a decade of compensation for millions of veterans by simply redefining the symptom without scientific research as part of the disease. If you have ringing in your ears and you have not locked in that 10% under the old rules, you're about to lose it forever. That's why I say if you have not filed your intent to file, you might want to do that for tinnitus. Sleep apnea, the CPAP penalty. I do not, again, these are not things that I have, these first two, okay? I don't have sleep apnea. I've been tested for it, okay? I don't have it. Shocking, I know. Like, oh, Jeff, you're fat. By the way, I've lost 40 pounds. W's in the chat. The sleep apnea CPAP penalty. Obstructive sleep apnea has always been a high value claim. This issue is a big deal in the veteran community. Okay? It's often rated at 50%. Okay? If the veteran requires a CPAP machine. The logic was simple. The machine is proof of a severe respiratory disability that requires mechanical intervention to keep you alive while you sleep. Okay? The VA, and all their glory and wisdom, is currently moving to destroy that objective standard. Their new rating criteria will no longer grant 50% for just for having a CPAP instead if all of this passes. Okay, I want to be clear. If all of this passes, the new rating criteria will no longer grant 50% just for having a CPAP. Instead, they will evaluate how effective the machine is at resolving your symptoms. If you use the machine as prescribed and it successfully prevents your airway from collapsing while you sleep, the VA will argue that your disability is managed. They will then use that successful management to drop your rating from 50% down to 10% or even 0%. So if you have to wear a CPAP machine and it works while you wear it, fuck your disability. Fuck the fact that you have to wear that machine every night or day, depending on your sleep schedule, when you sleep. That is wild. Yeah, honestly, it's brilliant. It's insidious. It is an insidious strategy. They prescribe you the machine. You use the machine to stay healthy, right? And to actually get sleep, right? And then they penalize you for the machine working and for you using it as prescribed. Because you have to continue using the machine. The machine doesn't cure the symptom. To my knowledge. I have a lot of friends that use these machines. I don't use them personally. Please let me know if I'm wrong. I'm not right about everything. Most things, right? They're essentially telling veterans that unless they are actively dying in their sleep, which is what sleep apnea is, you're basically like your heart's stopping and then you wake up, your heart stops, wake up, heart stops, wake up, right? That unless you're actively dying in your sleep, despite medical intervention, you're not worth 50%. You're not worth a 50% disability. That's wild. Wild. Now, here's the one that I am very familiar with. The mental health consolidation. Now, I am rated for PTSD, anxiety, depression, hypervigilance, all that jazz. Okay. I am I am what is known as TDIU, totally disabled, individually unemployable. Okay, that's what I am. The criteria for PTSD, anxiety, and depression are also under the knife. They're looking to gut that, right? Because fuck your mental health. That's what the VA is telling you. Okay? And not the doctor side of things, not the actual care side of things. Remember, I've talked about this before. There's two sides to the VA. There's the actual medical care, which is vastly improved. Okay? Over the last 5 to 7 years, at least in my experiences, the VA care has improved. This side of things is the compensation side of things. That's what we're talking about. Okay? The VA is moving towards a system that emphasizes system management over occupational impairment. I thought we were always working on managing our symptoms, going to your appointments, your therapy, taking your meds, working on yourself. I thought we were supposed to be doing that. Historically, your rating was based on how your mental health issues destroyed your ability to work, maintain relationships, a family, friendships, working relationships. The new system looks at how well you respond to treatment. Now, let me throw this out there. Do you guys think that someone like me has good days and bad days, or is every day the same? Someone with PTSD, anxiety, depression. I take meds. I'll show you guys right now. I don't care. I'm open with it. Hear that? My meds. That's just my daytime meds. There are days I don't want to get out of bed because I had an episode. I heard something. I heard from a friend that wasn't doing too well. I wasn't doing too well. Maybe I had a nightmare. So the managing of your symptoms changes. It can change day to day. It can change hour to hour for some of us. So this is fucking wild. This creates a dangerous paradox. So if you go to therapy, take your meds, and fight like hell to stay productive, that's why I make these videos. These videos, because I don't go to work anymore. I miss teaching. I taught online for a long time. I taught in the classroom for a long time. This is my way of still hanging on to that, right? Like if you guys didn't know that, that's why I make these videos. It helps me feel like I still matter. I know that's fucking deep, right? So if you go to therapy, you take your meds, fight like hell to stay productive for your kids, the VA will see your progress as a reason to reduce your rating. So they're creating a system where the reward for getting better is the loss of a financial safety net. So the solution, some veterans will say, okay, then I won't take my medicine. I'll just skip a couple therapy appointments. Some veterans will think like that because they got bills to pay like everyone else, right? These things aren't a joke, and the VA is treating them like a joke. An absolute joke. So tactical action, grandfathering the rules. The only way to win this engagement is to beat them to the punch. Now, again, these things have not passed yet, but there have been way too many conversations in Congress that controls the budget and in the VA that decides the rating scale. Veterans don't decide the rating scale, the VA does. That make me, as someone who's been in the system for so long, they make me uncomfortable to the point where I have to talk about it, to at least get the word out, right? To get the word out so that my fellow veterans, the few of you that watch my videos, know that, hey, the only way to win here is to beat them to the punch. When the VA changes the VASRD, Schedule for Rating Disabilities, they generally do not retroactively reduce veterans who are already rated. They generally don't do that. They're not going to go back. They generally don't go back and reduce ratings. They've never done that before. I'm not saying they couldn't, but they generally don't. You're usually grandfathered in because remember, when you put in your intent to file, that is the date of your disability. That is the date of your back pay and all that stuff. Okay? So that's why your intent to file is a powerful weapon. So if you file now, you lock everything in under the current regulations. Okay? You force the VA to evaluate your claim based on the 2025 standards rather than the 2026 budget cuts. What they call budget cuts. I call screwing veterans. Do not wait for the perfect medical record. Plant that flag, right? That intent to file, plant that flag today. If you're thinking about it, do it. Just put that intent to file in, even if you don't have all the paperwork together yet. You can get the paperwork. Once you have your intent to file, you have a year to file. And the date is the day you intend to is the date that you started the intent. Okay, and then you have a year from that day. Just to let you know. Okay? So this stuff, guys, is important. And it's important to our civilian side, too, because they're our support system. Right? There are so many people that support veterans and that want veterans to be well and to get the compensation we deserve, to get the care we deserve, that they need to know about this stuff, too. And that's why I make these videos public. That's why I make these videos in the first place. So thank you guys for listening. I'll leave the link to the Etsy shop down below. I'll leave the link to the Substack down below as well. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Substack. It's free. Unless you want to subscribe, it's $5 a month. Helps me and my family. So please, if you want to do that, that would be amazing. And thank you so much for listening. Make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you.